Have you ever wondered why old newspapers turn yellow over time? It's a question that's likely crossed your mind as you've stumbled upon a forgotten page of news. Its once crisp whiteness, now a faded shade of yellow. It's not just a curious observation, but a scientific phenomenon, a tale of chemical reactions and time's relentless march. So are you ready to dive into this fascinating world, to understand the why and how of this everyday mystery? Well, stick around as we unravel the mystery of the yellowing newspapers. To understand why newspapers turn yellow, we first need to understand what they're made of. The primary component of newspapers, and indeed most paper, is cellulose. This cellulose is derived from wood pulp, which is processed and treated until it forms the thin, flexible sheets we know as paper. Cellulose is an organic compound made up of long chains of glucose molecules. It's incredibly strong and durable, which is why it's used to make paper. However, it also has a crucial vulnerability. It's sensitive to environmental conditions. Exposure to light, heat, and moisture can cause the cellulose in paper to break down over time. This degradation process is what leads to the yellowing of newspapers. Similarly, the presence of other compounds, such as lignin, a natural component of wood, can accelerate this yellowing process. So we see that paper, especially newspaper, is quite susceptible to changes in its environment. Now, let's delve into the actual process of yellowing. You see, the primary component of paper is a substance called cellulose. This cellulose is a complex carbohydrate that's formed of long chains of glucose molecules, all linked together. However, over time, these chains don't remain as stable as they initially are. In the presence of heat and light, cellulose undergoes a process known as oxidation. This is essentially a chemical reaction where the cellulose molecules interact with oxygen in the air. During this interaction, the bonds holding the glucose chains together gradually break down. This breakdown leads to the release of smaller, unstable molecules. Now, these smaller molecules are not content with their newfound freedom. They are eager to react further to find stability, and in their search for stability, they end up reacting with each other or with the surrounding oxygen. This reaction results in the formation of a variety of new compounds. One of these compounds, in particular, is responsible for our yellowing newspapers. This compound, known as lignin, imparts a distinct yellowish color to the paper. Over time, as more and more lignin is formed, the paper starts to appear increasingly yellow. The yellowing process is thus a natural consequence of the paper's interaction with its environment. It's a testament to the cycle of creation and decay, of formation and breakdown that governs our world. And voila, that's why newspapers turn yellow over time. So let's quickly recap what we've learned today. Our journey started with understanding the composition of paper, which is primarily made up of cellulose, a complex carbohydrate. This cellulose is the backbone of a newspaper, providing it with its initial white, crisp appearance. We then delved into the yellowing process, where we discovered that exposure to light and heat triggers a chemical reaction in the cellulose. This reaction, known as oxidation, leads to the breakdown of cellulose and the formation of yellow-colored compounds, thus changing the color of the paper over time. The yellowing of newspapers is a natural process, a testament to the inherent properties of the material they are made from and the environment they are exposed to. It's a fascinating example of how everyday objects undergo chemical changes right before our eyes, often without us even realizing it. So next time you come across a yellowed newspaper, you'll know exactly why it's not as white as it used to be.